welcome to United Hour, your one-stop shop for all things Manchester United. I'm your host, Nick.
And I'm Imran.
Yeah, we're back talking about Manchester United men after a long, long time. I can't even remember when we last played Imran. Been weeks and months, right?
Oh, it's ages ago. I can't remember what the game it was. It was West Ham, wasn't it? It feels like a long, long time ago.
Yeah, it was West Ham. We did have a focus on the women's team in the meantime. If you missed that one, catch up on the last podcast with Natalie. Sadly, we gave the women the kiss of death as they lost their winning run and went down to Chelsea in the FA Cup. We'll have a bit more chat about that later. But yeah, main focus of this pod is going to be back in Premier League action versus Everton. Was last night. And this was another game that was probably going to be a bit like that West Ham, wasn't it? We knew it was going to be teams that are more defensive, that we need to break down. And we'd had, good success against Arsenal, against City, where maybe we've got less of the ball. But this is the real big test to see if we can get through. And thankfully, we've got the 3 points. But it was a proper battle, wasn't it, Imran?
Oh, it was a slog, to say the least. It was a really, really ugly game of football. It was a fight. It was, the weather conditions didn't help. The pitch didn't help. Lots of negative factors, I guess. And ultimately, we can talk about the performance. We can talk about this, that, and the other thing. But the main thing is that we got 3 points at the end of the day. And I think we should be very happy with those 3 points.
Yeah, definitely. And the first away clean sheet that we've had is the whole season, basically. We talked a lot under Amorim that we weren't keeping clean sheets. The defence was no good. We did keep a couple at home. But yeah, away from home, it's the first Premier League clean sheet in a long, long time. And I don't know if we might start thinking about defensive players for our FPL teams now. It's been a long time since you might have bought a United defender, although, yeah, Dorgu, but that was more for attacking returns. We were showing up for the first time at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. I was actually gutted not to get a ticket for this one because I always like it to go and tick off a new stadium. Looks great from outside, but the pitch looked very heavy. Seemed to have taken a lot of water. I don't know if there's drainage issues there, but I think that really affected the flow of the game. It was so stop-start the whole way. There wasn't really any momentum.
It was the passing as well. The amount of times people fell over as well. There was clearly something wrong with the pitch. I put the pitch down as a massive pass factor for this game. It's just that a lot of the passes feel like they had to be either underhit or overhit. People falling over all over the place. It seems like they couldn't get a grip of it. Gary Neville mentioned it on commentary, and if Gary Neville commentates on pitches and grounds up and down the country. So if he thinks there's something wrong with the pitch, I'm going to say there's probably something wrong with the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's used to Salford in League One, is it? So yeah, he's complaining about Premier League pitch, and that can happen with new pitches. It'll probably take a bit of time for grounds people there to get everything sorted out. And I think it probably suited Everton more than us. We struggled to get any kind of momentum in this match, but at the end, the important thing is we do get that goal, and we do get the 3 points, and that's all that matters, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a massive 3 points, especially because of Chelsea dropping points and Liverpool winning their game last minute. We want to keep that buffer between us and those teams, and plus, gaining a bit of ground on Villa, if we can drag them into it as another team who we can displace out of this top 4, top 5. So yeah, it's a huge win. Plus, we wanted to get them back for that awful 1-0 loss at Old Trafford. So all in all, Monday night, terrible night for football. Really annoying you have to wait all weekend to watch United. Really annoying that when you have to wait all weekend, that's the kind of game that you get served up. But at the end of the day, you take the 3 points and you move on.
And yeah, as you mentioned, the Amorim loss at home to Everton was possibly the lowest point of the season. I mean, I know there was that Grimsby game as well. Yeah, there's quite a few of them. For me, it was those two. It was that Grimsby and then the Everton loss, because it was 10 men and, they'd been fighting on the pitch. And then it said everything about Amorim that day. He's stuck with 5 at the back. He didn't change it. Just, we try and forget him. But yeah, we do have to keep mentioning what happened in those games. So yeah, to get one back and get those points makes a massive difference. There's quite a few of our celebrity kind of fans in attendance there. Rooney was there, obviously, as old Everton and United player. Ella Toone was in the away end. I know people often moan about people how do they get hold of tickets when we can't get them, but yeah, I personally think it's fair enough if somebody like Ella Toon wants to go to the match and she gets a ticket from somewhere. Fair enough.
If a football player who actually plays for Man United wants to go to an away game, I think a football player who plays for Man United can go to an away game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And in fact, I just remembered Michael Carrick was definitely in our away end in recent times. I can't remember what match it was, maybe Burnley, something like that. It's happened a few times, and yeah, I think it's always nice to see. Nice to see. The only kind of pre-match news was that suddenly Lisandro Martinez was out. We'd not been expecting that. Not been mentioned in any pre-match. I think it was just in training or even on the day. Thigh injury. Hopefully nothing too serious. But apart from that, we've basically gone with the same setup. Yoro comes in. And I know, again, the talking point pre-match, the talking point half-time was everybody saying, where's Šeško, basically. I don't know about you. I don't have an issue with him sticking with the same kind of team because it's been largely working. But Šeško's obviously got a massive shout, and especially after scoring in this game for starting matches.
I mean, I did think he should have started this one. I could see why you keep it the same against West Ham. I get the logic there. You don't want to change a winning formula, but this isn't a winning formula to change. So I was surprised that he didn't start. It kind of, you could say it worked out in the end because he brought him off and he therefore scored, and it kind of worked in that way. But if you don't bring him, if you didn't have him to bring off the off bench, who do you have? You Xerxes and maybe Cunha if Cunha, but it probably would have been Ahmad who came out, and don't know if Ahmad's as effective coming off the bench as say Šeško would be. So there is logic behind it all. Still think he's unlucky not to start, and he probably will almost certainly start against Crystal Palace. He has to start, you'd think.
Yeah, I mean, we are actually coming up to we're going to have 2 games in a week again, Palace and Newcastle. So there will be some rotation, and yeah, he'll have to start one of those matches. But yeah, as I said, me personally, I don't have a major issue with Carrick going with the similar setup because it's been working pretty well. Obviously, the players are rested. But yeah, he is the main one that's obviously shouting for it now. The only other thing that I saw was it was nice to see another youth kid on the bench, Jack Morehouse. I have to be honest, I hadn't really heard of him. But yeah, he'd been out on loan at Leyton Orient. He's a Irish under-21 international midfielder. And good credit to Michael Carrick, who's been making a big effort to go and watch the youth team. There was a bit of criticism aimed at Amorim that he didn't go that much and wasn't giving that much chances to youth players, even though there was always one on the bench to keep that record going of always having a youth player. But it never seemed like he had any intention of bringing any of them on. And the biggest one, of course, being Kobe Mainu. That's reveling being back in the team. But yeah, otherwise, it was same again. We actually started this game pretty well. I mean, one of our best chances, Tarkowski clears off the line very early on, and it seemed like Cunha and Bumo, Ahmad were all like moving about a bit, interchanging. Well, I know for the first 10 minutes, even like Gary Neville on commentary was like saying, "Oh, I'm not sure who's playing up front," and people are moving about. But then I don't know, we just lost all that momentum, and as I said, I think the pitch didn't help. Everton just kind of sat in, defended as we know they're going to do well. It was the same as kind of happened at West Ham. And that first half then ended up being pretty uneventful, really, didn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty of a stodgy first half. We did start quite well with that chance, and maybe it's a different game if that goes in because Everton have to come out a bit more. But I think once Everton found their shape and foothold in the game, we found it very hard to break them down. I mean, it's worth pointing out that Everton have conceded the least amount of goals in the Premier League by the top 3, I think. I think they have. Joint with Chelsea, actually, yeah. So them and Chelsea have conceded the least amount of goals outside of Villa, City and Arsenal. So, they are hard to score against at the end of the day. So it was always going to be a bit of a challenge, especially, they're not having the best of times at Hill Dickinson, but they're still a hard team to break down, still a hard team to score against. So it was going to be, we were never going to go there and win 4-5-0. It was always going to be a scrappy one, and I think Everton wanted it to be a scrappy one. It was the game that I think Everton wanted, and the fact that we managed to come out of that with a win, yeah, positive. But the rest of the first half was a non-event, really. I can't even think of it. James Garner had a good free kick that Lemons was awake to, and that was about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you look at first half XG, we're at 0.45, Everton at 0.04 as the home team. As you mentioned, they haven't had the best of times at their new stadium. In fact, we've won more games at the Hill Dickinson with one win than they have so far this year. So yeah, that stadium is not doing that well from us, for them. And then yeah, a lot of the first half statistics were in our favour. 62% possession for us versus 38 for them. As I say, the XG in our favour as well. The overall, though, XG 1.27 versus 0.63. And in the end of the game, the position was pretty equal. Second half was quite different, especially, after we scored, we did not see much of the ball at all. I mean, we sat in and it worked out. And then, yeah, at the end of the game, as I said, half time, we're at 62%. At the end, we're only at 52%. So, yeah, it did change quite a lot. But yeah, it worked out for us, and I think we deserved that goal. We deserved that win just about. And yeah, as we said, it's good to see it there. And yeah, it's all about Šeško now. I mean, he's got a crazy record as well. If we're looking at stats, he's now got more goals in the Premier League than anybody else this year, not including penalties, open goals. Šeško, and he's not starting matches, as we say. But if somebody's coming off the bench and scoring regularly, then maybe they are better off being that kind of bench impact players. We've had it in the past, haven't we? Chicharito, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was that. And players always say, well, he has to start. But would he score that goal if he comes on from the start? And I guess we'll find out soon, because he will definitely start one of these next two matches.
Yeah, it's you don't want to be known as a super sub, because that's all you'll ever be then. But it is great to have someone coming off the bench and everyone's thinking, oh, he's going to get a goal. I mean, the argument against that is, if you start him, he scores 2 goals in the first half, and then it's game over. So that's the argument against it. And I think he deserves that chance, to have a game from the start and see if he can, put us ahead in the first half by a couple of goals, and then his job done. Then he can come off, can't he? So yeah, it's a brilliant goal though. It's a really, really beautiful. A beautiful goal in a terrible game of football. It's just a fantastic move all the way up the pitch. It's a wonderful ball from Cunha. It's great control from Mbeumo, and the run from Šeško is just pace and power, and it's everything you want to see in a goal, in a United counter-attacking goal. It's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I look at the timelines for these games and what happened, and there is nothing that happens in this match. There was no VAR controversy. There was not that many chances. I say Lemons was completely untouched. The only thing was that early kind of clearance off the line from us. And until Šeško comes on, 58th minute for Ahmad, there was nothing going on. Ahmad did not have the best game. But yeah, I think he struggled with his kind of dribbling with that wet pitch. It was also, Tarkowski was crazy that he didn't get a yellow card earlier in this game for pulling his shirt. Well, no, there was a couple of times. There was one later on, Braithwaite, who was pulling Ahmad's shirt completely, and Ahmad went off with pretty much a ripped shirt. But yeah, early on in the game, there was another moment as well. More than once. It's crazy that yellow cards weren't being given out for these earlier on. He was just getting pulled all over the place. Twice, as I said, at different occasions. But yeah, I don't know if it's between him and Cunha, isn't it, of who comes out if Šeško has to start this game, really. And I don't know. At the moment, maybe Ahmad's not in the best run of form. Generally, you'd say probably Cunha is the one coming out. But yeah, who are you taking out if Šeško's starting the next game?
I think it's probably Ahmad, isn't it? He's not had the best couple of last games, but he does work very hard. Even this game, he worked really hard off the ball and was winning the ball back, running back and nipping in. So there is that element to his game, but I think at home against Palace, you'd think he's probably the one to come out. I mean, we say this all now. Someone's probably going to pick up a knock before then, and then the decision will be made for Carrick. But all things being equal at the moment, you'd probably say that Ahmad is the one to come out, yeah. Although I think Cunha's probably a better impact to come off the bench, so maybe there's that to play. Again, I'm not sure what impact Ahmad will have off the bench. I can't remember. I mean, I think he has scored. I think he has actually scored off the bench last season. I think he's did at Brentford, but yeah, you maybe Carrick does need to think about who he wants to make an impact off the bench and whether it should be Ahmad or Cunha.
I think both of them actually can do pretty well coming in from the bench. They've both got the right set of skills to make an impact when they come in. So we'll see. And that's the good thing, just to have options. As I say, at the moment, we've even got Xerxes, who's not even really getting a look in. So yeah, he's there as well. So yeah, and that's even with a few injuries. We're still waiting to see what's happened to Mount. Delit, we have no idea. Martinez now hopefully is not too long out. But yeah, at least we do have bench options. But yeah, look, let's go back to that goal. It was our 3 summer signings combining. Cunha had just messed up, I thought, just before this. He'd had an opportunity. He'd gone on a good run. Šeško was wide open. I thought he should have played him in earlier, and he just slightly delayed it and ends up, I don't know if he got tackled or kind of just lost the ball again in that kind of wet grass over there. But totally makes up for it with an absolute beauty of a goal, beauty of a ball that sends Mbeumo through. And then, yeah, it was an easy one from Šeško. And again, everybody was saying, oh, look at Šeško's pace. But I'm asking, if he's started this game, is he going that fast? Is it not just because he's fresh? And he was the only kind of sub who'd come on at that point. And I think it makes that big difference having, fresh legs coming in. And that's why he's managed to get through it and be totally open to tap that ball in.
I don't know. I think he's outpacing Tarkowski every single time, somehow.
Maybe. I don't know if Šeško's pace is one of his strong points. He's
very, very quick, and Tarkowski is very, very slow.
With Šeško, he's not fast as in straight acceleration, but once he gets going, he is very, very quick. Once he can open up that stride and get his big legs going on, then you can get then probably on Tarkowski's yes. But me, it does make that big difference. And why I'm saying this again, maybe he is better off being that sub, coming in fresh. And that's why he has absolutely no problem just zooming past him, and then it's a relatively easy finish for him, really. And he probably should have had another goal in this game as well. He was pretty much through later on as well and could have put this game to bed. It was more like one-on-one, and I don't know if you put it down to a good save from Pickford or he messing up there, but we can't really complain with the amount of game. I mean, his goals per minute record at the moment is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and winning goals as well. The Fulham goal.
Well, the West Ham saves us a point.
West Ham saves us a point. The Fulham goal wins the game. Burnley gets 2 that gets the point. We should have won that game, really. So these are important goals. That's why he missed that one against Spurs, because it'd been 3-0 and pointless. So he doesn't want to score pointless goals. He wants to score goals that mean something, and you've got to appreciate that. No, he's coming. I mean, he is. I think he came in for big money in the summer, obviously, and you're hoping that he's suddenly going to be a 30-goal striker, but that's not going to happen, really. The people need time to adjust, etc. And I think he's having about as good a season as you would largely expect for someone coming in new to the league. And I think he had a lot. You were quite critical of him at the start of the season as well. But I mean, time takes time to adjust, doesn't it? It takes time to get used to everything. But I think he's starting to show some real attributes, some real elements to his game that will make him into he might not be the best striker in the world, might not even be our number one striker, but he's definitely going to be a top striker. A good striker for us in the Premier League. You can see him having the attributes to be a good Premier League striker.
Yeah, I was critical of him early on, but I was also critical of Amorim for just keep playing him when I didn't think he was ready to be starting games for us every week. And we made the same criticism last season when he just kept playing Højlund, who was totally out of form. And I think this way, bringing him into confidence when he's coming off the bench, making a difference. And now he's a player who's absolutely full of confidence, whereas I think when he first came in, maybe he was nervous of that big move. He didn't feel like he was that ready for it. He was still adapting to the pace. And I don't think it helps players to be just starting them. And I think the way Carrick is doing it is absolutely perfect. And now, maybe, he is ready to be starting a game and making a difference right from the start of it. So I think, credit to Carrick, credit to Šeško. And he's absolutely the story recently. Like I say, that stat is quite mad considering he's hardly starting games, that he's got the most goals with 5 this year of every Premier League player. You're including the likes of Haaland and whichever top scorers are up there.
Non-penalty goals, we stress.
Non-penalty goals, non-penalty goals. Goals from open play, 5 goals. Absolute brilliant. We will take a quick break there and come back and talk about the rest of this game, even if there isn't that much to talk about apart from that goal, and then look ahead to what's coming up. Back for part 2 of this match. as we said, this was a very ugly game versus Everton, but a really beautiful goal. It actually did start with Šeško. If you look at it back, he's the one who actually holds it up, passes it off to Cunha. So yeah, it's a great move to watch. And as I say, our 3 summer signings all coming together, making the difference is brilliant. The only other big talking points for me is that, the game does change after we get that goal. Everton make a couple of subs, bring on Beto, an extra striker, George as well, and start going for it. But it's all about these corners. And I think Arsenal and their set-piece coach have a lot to answer for at this point. There's absolute madness of what was going on in our 6-yard box again and again and again. I mean, Everton had 10 corners, and it's like a rugby scrum. I mean, it can't be allowed. There has to be, I don't know what the referees are up to. There has to be some kind of rule change or something. I mean, how is it not a foul in every single corner?
It's just awful to watch. That's the main thing. It is like, the Premier League prides itself on being the best league in the world and prides itself on being a spectacle. It's crap to watch. It's just terrible, awful football that you want to score goals through merit. You want to score goals through beautiful play like we just did. I mean, sometimes you want to get a bit lucky, but when you don't, I mean, there's no skill involved in that really. You're just kind of putting the ball into an area and hoping that, you've caused enough damage and confusion that it kind of bobbles in. There's no skill involved in that. It's terrible. And yeah, like you said, the Arsenal set piece coach has so much transfer. They don't even they started to do that less now, to be fair. Although I say that, it's funny, against us, they didn't do that until they needed to, and then they started doing it. We actually don't do it, which I'm quite happy with. I'll say this now, and then I'm sure against Palace we'll start loading it up. But I'm quite glad that recently our set pieces have involved, more creative routines and stuff like that, which is you don't mind set piece goals when they're, a well timed run and a big header, or like we did against Fulham, where there's a nice little routine not Fulham, Spurs, where there's a nice routine and when we're finished on the edge of the box, stuff like that. That's what you want to see. You don't want to see this shite from corners where everyone's piling in and the keeper can't move, and it's just crap. And like you said, something has to be done, and it should really be that no players can be in the 6-yard box by the keeper when the corner's taken, done and sorted, or the refs just keep giving fouls straight away, and then eventually it'll stop. Because literally, as soon as the Everton player takes that corner, the ref could blow for a foul and it would be justified.
Yeah, and they used to do that. And in fact, I remember, trying to think now, there was one World Cup where they started using VAR. Was it the last one, Qatar? Was it? Are we even going back before that? And they started giving a whole load of fouls and penalties for just messing around in the box. Any little kind of foul in the box. And they gave a crazy amount of fouls and penalties from corners. But then that's kind of disappeared, and we've gone full circle to going back as if it's like 1980s football or something. Just an absolute free-for-all. I mean, Tarkowski, as I said, he should have had 2 red cards in this game. He gets 1 yellow card for basically throwing Yoro into the net. And Yoro gets a yellow card for it as well, as if he did anything.
No, Yoro didn't get a yellow card for that. Maguire got a yellow card for pushing someone else in retaliation.
Was it?
Yeah, it wasn't Yoro.
I thought, yeah. Fair enough. I thought that was to Yoro for that, because I saw him get it then. But no, you're right, I'm looking at it now, and yeah, it was Tarkowski and Maguire who get the yellows for it. All right, that makes a bit more sense. But yeah, it was mad, and he just kept doing it again and again, and if you don't get punished for it, then you will just keep doing it again. So yeah, at some point, referees, VAR, something has to be done here to stop this, because it's not football. It's just pointless. As we said, we've seen Arsenal do it time and time again. I remember saying myself, versus Arsenal, when we conceded goals, those are fouls. That is a foul. If you're blocking off a player and making no attempt to win the ball, the only thing you're doing is trying to block him and trying to stop him, pushing somebody in the back. That's a foul. It's dead simple. It's dead simple. So I don't know what the referees think they're doing, especially in this VAR age where we're getting goals chalked off for millimetres and bringing back play and awful things. This is something they should actually be doing and saying, yeah, look, that's a foul. You can't be just standing on the keeper or blocking off other players with no attempt to be playing the ball, basically. Because, yeah, that is not football. So, yeah, let's see what happens about this, if anything. But, yeah, as I said, Arsenal have started it. Everton seem to have taken it on. And yeah, I agree with you. We're actually currently second in the set piece charts, but doing it in a proper way. We've had two kind of nice moves come in, and we gave Johnny Evans credit for those, and they're the kind of routines you want to see. And a bit of credit as well to Amorim and his set piece team, because it did start under him. That we've had quite a few set piece goals this season. But yeah, we didn't need it in this game. Thankfully, it was actually a really nice move. And then
what I would say about this corner debacle is it was quite good of us. We showed a lot of character to come through it, kind of thing. And I thought I was really encouraged by by how we dealt with them. There was no panic. We just dealt with everyone as they came, like 10 corners, whatever it was. Lemons, who I'm sure we talk about in a bit, was brilliant with them. Everyone else, there was no panic, just deal with it, deal with the next one, and we got through it really well.
Well, yeah, Lemons, man on the match, absolutely deserved. A lot due to these corners. He just seems so assured, picking out these. I mean, he's way better than I ever thought he could be. I was actually pretty worried that we were plucking out some guy from Belgian League who's not even played a match for Belgium. I was like, how is he going to deal with coming into the Premier League with this kind of thing? And we'd seen Onana, who's played in like Champions League finals, played in international tournaments, falling apart at any kind of pressure. But yeah, fair play. I mean, fair play to Lemons. And I say we have to give some credit again to our scouting team for pulling him out. I mean, absolutely brilliant. And it's nice for him to get some personal recommendation in this match. And it was actually a great time because Edwin van der Sar was on commentary for this game. And I know he personally talked to him post-match and gave him the credit. And Lemons has before mentioned him as a bit of a hero of his kind of growing up with the kind of Dutch, whatever, Belgium connection. So I'm sure that was a brilliant moment for him. Get man of the match and actually get some kudos from Edwin van der Sar. And that was it. He was just plucks out everything, seems so assured, deals with all this physicality. Like I said, I was worried. Somebody coming in from Belgium, how's he going to deal with all this? And he just took it absolutely in his stride. So yeah, a great signing, and he's just fitted in so well.
Yeah, brilliant. I think we said this summer we couldn't envisage not replacing our goalkeeper, and it nearly came to. I always remind people, we nearly did not buy a new goalkeeper this summer, which is absolutely mental when you think about it, because with Onana in net, with Bayindir in net, we lose this game 100%, because it's not just the fact that any of those could be fumbled into the net, it's the panic that they create elsewhere that doesn't lead to the assured defending that we saw. So yeah, it's crazy that there's a world where Lemons isn't our keeper right now, but he, like you said, he's exceeded all expectations. I think we all were at most just hoping for a pair of steady hands to come in and be very unspectacular, and he has done that to an extent. But he has also been really, really solid and assured, and he's not pulling off these although he pulled a really good save off from Michael Keane in this case. Not pulling off worldy saves every week, but he's just a normal, calming goalkeeping presence who can use both feet really well, and that's what you want. That's what we've been crying out for, really. And the fact that he can claim a cross is just, I mean, gets a cheer every time out of me. Just watching him come and claim those crosses is fantastic. His handling in this game, I think he caught two shots that had a lot of power behind them, and he just caught them, and that also alleviates pressure. We're used to a goalkeeper spilling them in front of the first guy who can come and put it into the net, so that's another big plus. So yeah, fantastic from Lemons.
Yeah, definitely. I think we have to give some credit on this one to Tony Coton. I remember we mentioned it when we signed him. Apparently he's been the one who'd been pushing for him for more than a year now, saying that he'd seen this guy, and that, yeah, he was definitely the one to bring in. And we know in the summer that Amorim apparently wasn't happy. He wanted us to splash the cash on Martinez from Villa. But yeah, we went with him, and it was the same. We went with Šeško over Watkins. It was the two big options, Martinez-Watkins versus Lemon-Šeško. I think we've definitely made the right decisions there. And there's a lot of criticism we can give to Ineos, and I do want to just mention that since we last recorded, there's been a lot of controversy about comments from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and I personally am just glad to see that virtually from all quarters, from our fan groups, from the Mayor of Manchester, from everybody, they've all criticised him. And I know there's going to be some banners and things like that you can expect to see in the next matches as well. So yeah, I mean, that's the only positive that comes out of it. But yeah, we don't want to be seeing our owner come out with comments about immigration and getting involved in all this political stuff, do we, Imran?
No, not at all. I mean, you can have your thoughts on immigration. I have my thoughts on immigration. You can have yours. That's totally fine. There's a healthy debate to be had about it. What you can't do is, one, come out with completely incorrect statements and present them as fact. And two, you can't use language that's just basically terrible and used only to stir up some division and cause, just makes everything just sound so unpleasant. Like, you're talking about colonization and things. It's not it's not part of a healthy debate, that. And as the owner of Man United, you have a responsibility as well. The fact is, Man United is for everyone. No one can gatekeep Manchester United. It is for literally everyone. Everyone from around the world. I can't gatekeep it. You can't gatekeep it. We go to the ground. Yeah, we're season ticket holders, but anyone can support Man United. It is literally for everybody. So to try and, as the owner of that, ostracize a certain group of people, I just find it's just ridiculous, really.
Yeah, exactly. And every time he opens his mouth, he seems to say something that annoys me. Last season we were talking about all like the redundancies, staff getting caught, getting rid of Christmas parties. Then, negative comments about the women's team. This time he's going on about immigration, and you just don't want to see it. And I was never really wanted him. I know I was quite open on this podcast that I'd wanted to go with the kind of Qatari option at the time, and a lot of people had issues with that. In the end, I say, yeah, look, the guy we got is a right bastard as well. And to be honest, most billionaires are going to come with some kind of baggage and whatever. But yeah, on the plus side, we can say that there has been improvements definitely on the scouting side, as I say. So yeah, we'd give some credit to the kind of setup, and I think we are improving on some things. But yeah, if he could keep quiet, that would definitely be a big benefit. And as I say, the positive of it is that I've seen all our fan groups, that's Man United Supporters Trust, 1958, all speaking out against it. There's been banners and billboards going up around Old Trafford, the Mayor of Manchester, even the Prime Minister talked about it. But yeah, you don't really want to see it. And like I said, that's what happens when it's Manchester United. Every little comment, every little thing gets scrutinised. And then you end up seeing Michael Carrick. He's having to answer questions about it in press conferences. And, at a time when we've actually started doing well, it's kind of the absolute last thing we needed was this kind of distraction. Michael Carrick does not want to be sat there talking about comments from Sir Jim Ratcliffe. But yeah, hopefully this brushes over and we can move on from it. And yeah, he just learns to keep quiet and focus on getting the boardroom and the setup right at United. Because yeah, there's been a lot of issues there as well. And, maybe at least we are going better in the right direction there. But yeah, look, this win, that's the main thing, pushes up now to 4th place. I think at this point, aren't we going to be disappointed if we're not going to the Champions League next season?
I think so. It's definitely in our hands. Well, it is in our hands now, officially. We will almost certainly get into European competition next year. So and I remember at the beginning of this year, didn't you say that was like your expectation was just any European competition?
I said that we should be fighting towards Champions League, that I could accept if we missed out on it, but, we could not be below that kind of 5th, 6th, 7th. That would just be absolutely ridiculous. And then I did also say that we just needed to push in the cups that we're already out of, obviously.
Well, yeah, we're out of those, but it's pretty. I'd be amazed if we didn't finish in the top 6 now, right? So that in itself is, much better than last season. So that's one big tick. And yeah, you would be disappointed if we don't get Champions League football. It's in our hands. We've got, what our hardest fixtures now are probably Chelsea away, Newcastle away, and Liverpool at home. And they're all games that actually I'd expect us to get something from them. I'd expect us to win at least 2 of those. So, the expectations are a bit better now. We don't have an Arsenal or City to play. Every team we play, every game we play now is winnable at the end of the day. So it's definitely in our hands. And you would hope that, at the end of the season, I honestly think we could finish 3rd at this rate, at the rate we're going.
That's definitely achievable. And I still know a couple of United fans who are saying, I've put some money on us winning the title. Arsenal are bottling it. City aren't in good form yet. And I just said, listen. First of all, if we finish in Champions League places, I will be very happy. I do think third place is not impossible and is something that, we can dream about, especially because, Villa are on a slight bit of a blip now as well. Yeah, only 3 points ahead of us. 3 points to third place. Absolutely brilliant. And as you say, the run of games is, but at the same time, nowadays, which games are easy on paper, which games you think you're going to win, it doesn't always work out like that. Carrick, the only points he's dropped at the end were against West Ham, and this one was a hard-fought one as well. So, we know it doesn't always work out, and the odds and the form, and, especially you're playing teams who are fighting for their survival at the bottom of the Premier League as well. Sometimes once you get to this point in the season, they're even more difficult than the teams further up at the top. But look, coming up, next up is Crystal Palace at home this weekend. Then we've got Newcastle midweek. Then there's another 11-day break then. And later on, at the end of March, we then play 2 games, Villa and Bournemouth. We then have a 3-week break. I mean, that is actually international break in the middle of there. It's kind of going to be the last friendlies for international teams before the World Cup. And I think there's some World Cup playoffs to finish off the last few places for that World Cup as well. But we're going to have 10 days off there, and we're going to have 3 weeks off later on. So don't know what the club are going to do about that. There was talk about mid-season friendlies, which didn't happen in this break. I did see quite a few players did take a chance to go abroad. Yoro and Heaven were pictured in Dubai. Casemiro was out in Miami. And I think a lot of people are now linking that to saying he's looking at going to the MLS, into Miami possibly.
Harry Maguire was in Iceland.
Yeah, I did see Big Harry was out in Iceland. He obviously didn't understand the warm weather break thing, although maybe Iceland is warmer than Yorkshire where he's from, right? We will take a quick break there and come back for the last part of the show. Back for part 3 of this podcast. We have covered, of course, the win against Everton. Last pod, the break was due to Man United men not having a game, so we did look at Man United women. Sadly, we gave them the kiss of death. They lost their winning run 7 games in a row, and they came up cropper against Chelsea women, losing in the FA Cup 2-1. It was a good battle for the women, though. I think you managed to catch a bit of that game, didn't you, Imran?
Yeah, I just saw a bit of it. Competitive, but Chelsea always had a bit more than us, I think.
Yeah, they did. And I think that Chelsea squad depth comes through there, even though they're not having the best season, epitomised by them bringing on one of the WSL top scorers ever, Sam Kerr, from the bench to score a goal for them, whereas we're bringing on 16-year-old Layla Dury. Great to have girls coming from the MU Academy to the top team, but just shows that we are still lacking some squad depth for the women there. The women now go into international break, and on the other side of that is an even bigger game, League Cup final, the Subway Cup it is, in the women's game against Chelsea again. This time on a neutral ground. They will play at Ashton Gate in Bristol, and I know tickets are selling pretty well for that, and we've never won this competition. So as I said on the last pod, if we were going to lose one and win one, then didn't mind going out of the FA Cup, and hopefully we can get one back over on Chelsea in this League Cup final. I mean, we have been on good form. We've been missing a couple of players, and maybe this international break will give a chance for Ella Toon to come back from injury, Rolfo as well. We've been missing Céline Bizet for the whole season. She's announced pregnancy. I know we made a bit of a joke that maybe Matthias de Ligt is also going to announce pregnancy because we have no idea while he's been out. That's the kind of thing that seems to happen. Like women have a mystery injury and then suddenly announce they're pregnant and not playing for the rest of the season. But congratulations to her anyway. But we were one down on the squad list. But big matches coming up for the women in the Champions League. We will now play Bayern Munich. That is now confirmed. Talked about it in the last podcast, but we still had that one more leg against Atletico Madrid. Managed to win the home leg. 2 great results. So now, in the first ever season in the Champions League, Man United women are in the quarterfinals, and now some really big hitters in there. That Bayern Munich game is going to be very difficult. But just great to get that far, basically. And then that Chelsea game, we do then have the Manchester derby versus Man City. I will be at that game. In fact, both of those matches, Bayern Munich and Manchester City, will be at Old Trafford. That is one of those times where the men are going to be on a 3-week break, basically. That's why Old Trafford will not be in use and why they've decided to play both those games at Old Trafford. So if you want a good opportunity to get to Old Trafford for the first time, take your kids, then these women games are a great time Tickets are cheap and available. Whereas, for men's matches, it's really difficult to get a ticket unless you're a season ticket holder like myself and Imran. Then there, looking back at the schedule for the men, Imran, well, as we said, we've got Palace coming up on the weekend. Will you be at that game?
Yep, go into that. Looking forward to it. I had to miss both the Spurs and Fulham games due to last-minute family stuff. So, yeah, really look forward to the Palace game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that Palace game as well. It's actually going to be a bit of a big reunion for some of the people I know from football who don't manage to go that much. So, yeah, big pre-match session planned as well. So, yeah, let's hope we get a good game against Palace. They're not in the best of form. It's funny how things change for managers. Oliver Glasner was like man of the moment just a few months ago. Favourite he was for replacing Ruben Amorim as our manager. And now suddenly Crystal Palace fans are putting up banners and want him out. Isn't it crazy how things change?
They want him out. He wants to leave. This is the season of Premier League managers trying to get the sack. 3 managers have done it this season. That must be a record because Maresca did it. Amorim obviously did it several times, and now Glasner's basically begging to be sacked. Just an odd occurrence, really.
It is very weird, and yeah, as you say, it's really clear from comments that Glasner is ready to go. But I think that's the thing, because of all this money and payoffs, he's not ready to actually resign, and Palace don't want to get rid of him because of how much they're going to have to pay him. So they're all just waiting in limbo for the end of the season, really. He's made it absolutely clear he will be leaving in the summer. And I like him as a manager. I think he deserves a bigger job. I think Crystal Palace did not back him. They went into their first European season without the squad to be dealing with it. They are still in Europe, although I think they had a pretty bad result against, I can't even remember where the team were from, Azerbaijan or Kazakhstan or somewhere like that. But they've still got another chance in their second leg. And that is our next 2 teams. They're both still in Europe. Newcastle not having a good time in the league, but are still rolling on in Europe. They've beaten Karabag. So, yeah, that helps us against these teams. We, of course, don't have anything apart from the Premier League. The 2 games coming up in the same week, so we will have to shuffle the pack. We already talked about the fact that Šeško surely has to start one of these games. Is there anyone else, Imran, who you think should come in from the bench if we're doing a bit of rotation with 2 games in a week?
The last time Shaw played 2 games in a week, he was rubbish in the second game, so I'd maybe bring Mazraoui in. I think Mazraoui's due to start, so I'd probably give Shaw a bit of a rest, put him in. You'd say you don't want Casemiro playing 2 games in a week, but the alternative just isn't there, so yeah, I'd kind of keep everything. I try to keep everything much the same as possible. It's just really your only tools to play with are Šeško, Mazraoui, and if Mount was back, maybe throw Mount in there, but we'll see on Mount.
Well, I think if he comes back, he's not going to be totally match fit, is he? I mean, like you say, it's the more likes of Ugarte and maybe Xerxes who are kind of probably think they're due like a run out. But yeah, these are our next 2 matches. The 2 teams are struggling in the league. Newcastle in 11th, Crystal Palace in 13th. So yeah, you would hope that we win both, but you'd probably accept a win. A draw away at Newcastle, right? We don't have the best of record there, do we?
No, terrible record. We've not won there since 2020, where we won 4-1. I think that was the game where Wan-Bissaka scored, Bruno scored a lovely goal. I think Rashford scored as well in that one. It was 4-1. I think it was the COVID game, actually. But yeah, we've not won for ages since they're up there. Lost the last 3. And yeah, it's not a happy hunting ground for us at all. Last season we lost 4-1, and I remember that game because I was in Johannesburg airport, and I remember thinking, we're never going to get anything from this game. I don't feel that bad for missing it, and then we lost 4-1, so I didn't feel bad for missing it at all. So yeah, I'd probably take a draw, but then it is a game where we could easily win. Newcastle not having a great season, lots of games, quite tired. But they will be up for this. It's a Wednesday night. They're always up for it on an evening up there. They like playing us for some reason. So I'd probably take a draw if you offered it to me, yeah.
Yeah, I probably would do as well. But yeah, those 2 matches coming up. And then on the other side of that, after an 11-day break, because it's FA Cup weekend and we're not in it, it's Aston Villa. So that's kind of going to be a top four Champions League 6-pointer, basically. And they're at the moment having a bit of a wobble. I mean, they went on that crazy run. I think it was 10 or 11 matches that they won in a row. So they obviously weren't going to sustain that. To be fair to them, they're missing quite a few players. Tielemans, McGinn, or their midfield has been decimated, basically. So, yeah, you hope we can get 4 points out of the next two, maybe 6. And then that Villa game makes us start dreaming even more of third place, basically, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the Villa game's interesting. I mean, we have a great record against Villa. We beat them, like, even throughout the crap years, we often beat Villa, especially at home. So you'd be pretty hopeful for that game. Villa not on a great run either. I mean, we're getting well ahead of ourselves here. I'm pretty sure we'll record a podcast for the Villa game. We might lose these next 2 games, then we'll be really doom and gloom going into the Villa game. Let's see. But yeah, it'll be a big game when that comes around if we do all right against Palace and Newcastle.
I mean, at some point, Carrick will lose a game. You assume he's not going to get to this end of this season.
Don't like that negativity around here.
Well, look, he's still unbeaten, and we should include those 3 matches from last time as well. We always said statistically the best manager out there, and yeah, I'm somebody who would give Carrick another contract, but we're still linked with other managers. People like Gary Neville would not give him a contract, and Gary Neville name drop still people like Thomas Tuchel as a better option. And it was interesting that England have now given Tuchel a new contract. And I think they are probably worried about us tapping him up, about, him getting distracted with the World Cup and what happens after that. But officially, he's now extended his contract, as has Carlos Ancelotti as Brazil manager. But yeah, the more interesting comments from Thomas Tuchel this week were about our England trio, Mainu, Maguire and Shaw. And he was asked about them, and none of them have featured for him so far. But he says that they are all in his thoughts and all in contention. I mean, on form, all 3 of us, those should be going to the World Cup, at least in the next squad, right?
Yeah. If it was up to me, I'd definitely take him all. I think Mainu's a no-brainer to go. He's a midfielder on the level of a Wharton, of an Elliot Anderson, etc. And, he did play in the last tournament. So I think having that tournament experience, yeah, I can't see why Mainu wouldn't go. Maguire as well. Again, the England experience, the fact that he is probably the best box defender in the league. He's up there anyway. He's definitely better than Dan Bloody Byrne. So, yeah, I can't see why Maguire wouldn't go either. They're 2 are a shoe-in for me. Shaw's, there's a bit more competition in Shaw's place. I know we're not stocked with fullbacks, but there is the Lewis Hall from Newcastle. There's O'Reilly, can play pretty much everywhere. So Shaw, and the injury stuff with Shaw, he might fall, he might get crocked at any moment now. But yeah, Maguire and Mainu definitely have to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Shaw has been this shock of the season, hasn't he? I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked at the stats of when he's last played this many games, but he's started, I think, every single one of our Premier League games this season, which is absolutely mad. And he always seems to turn up in a tournament year. Do you remember that last tournament where he didn't play for nearly the whole season, got fit just before it, went off, played a couple of games for England, and then came back injured for us as well? And people were not happy about that at all, I remember, at all. But yeah, looks like, again, Luke Shaw has shown up in a tournament year. But on the form of the other players, as I say, we're not stocked at fullback. I mean, defence is still a problem for England. They all should go. And I would like to see them all there. I know some United fans who say I don't want them to go. I want them to stay rested. It's better for United. But I take more interest in England when there is United players there. I'll take more interest in the World Cup, although, yeah, I like any tournament. But yeah, lately there's been very little United interest unless you include Marcus Rashford, who is back in the squad there and is officially still a Man United player. But yeah, I know you like England and our players playing for them, don't you?
Yeah, well, World Cup's my favourite thing in the world, so a World Cup with England in it is always better. Although, to be honest with you, my dream World Cup scenario is, I'd rather England win, but if England don't win, my dream World Cup scenario is Ronaldo to pick up you don't want which players to get injured, but let's say Ronaldo somehow ruled himself out of the tournament, or for somehow, some way. And then Bruno Fernandes is the Portugal captain and leads them to World Cup glory. That would be my ideal World Cup.
Fair enough, fair enough. I mean, yeah, I would still love to see England win the World Cup. And as I say, Tuchel has been linked to us, but looks like he's staying with them. I'm not feeling that much of the whole World Cup fever yet, but yeah, maybe we're getting towards that. As I said, there will be a 3-week break for United coming up at the end of March, part of that being international break. And maybe then we'll start feeling a bit more of the World Cup this year. USA, Mexico and Canada it is. But yeah, I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to talk about World Cup in future podcasts. I think that about rounds us off for this week, unless I've forgotten anything, Imran.
Not that I can think of.
Well, do go and check us out on our social media. In the past, our main social media was always Twitter and X. We are actually been pushing Facebook lately, and we've got way more followers. I'm surprised myself how many followers we're at on Facebook. That's something like 20,000. So yeah, go and follow us on Facebook if you're not on there. One day we might sort out Instagram as well. We do have our Patreon, and always like it when fans join us for our match day chat. So if you want to do that, get the match day chat, go and check out our Patreon. But yeah, we love all the support, all the comments, whether it's on Red Cafe. If you're listening on Spotify, you can give us some comments on there right now as well. And throw us a 5-star review as well. I mean, I think we are officially the best rated podcast on Spotify, United Podcast. 4.9 we are, 4.9 out of 5. I've had a quick look around.
There must be some 5s.
No. I'm literally, I've had a quick look around. Maybe there is, if somebody wants to go and show us. And there is another one who's at 4.9 as well. But I'm officially saying we are the best rated Man United podcast on Spotify, 4.9.
What Nick's saying is go find that other podcast and vote them down. That's what Nick's saying.
Well, yeah. Oh, just give us a 5-star review. You know, if you're going to give us a 4-star, don't bother. It has to be 5-star. So yeah, if you're listening on Spotify, go on there now. 5-star review. Thank you very much. But yeah, that's it for now. We will maybe be back after Palace, but definitely after Newcastle, because as I said, there's a 10-day break after that game. See you after that one. Goodbye for now.
Cheers.